Om Vasudeva Sudam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Namaskaram and Hari Om to everyone. We have now come to the final speaker of the Guruvayurappan Temple of Brampton's Prabodhanashtakams series. Our eighth speaker is Sri Dev Singh. Born in Canada, completing his BBA at the University of Toronto, and after working as a chartered accountant for several years, Sri Dev developed a strong interest in a life of self-development and service and joined the 2013 residential 2-year Vedanta course in Chinmaya Mission, Trinidad and Tobago, under the guidance of Swami Prakashanandaji. Having studied Sanskrit and Vedanta with them, Sri Dev decided to make his primary aim serving Swami Chinmayananda's vision. He, along with his wife, Srimati Jina Gokuldas, affectionately known as Jina Ji, are currently posted in Chinmaya Missions, Toronto, are conducting satsangs and study classes for adults, seniors, and youth, managing their Balavihar programs and other ashram activities. We are very honored to have Devji speak to us on lessons from the Ramayana in modern times. A few housekeeping rules for the audience on the Zoom and Facebook platforms. Please have your mic on mute the whole time during the discourse in order to avoid disturbance and receive benefit of the content. Please type in your questions in the chat sessions on either Zoom or Facebook platforms, whichever platform you are on, and I will read out your questions to Devji once the discourse finishes. Any questions that have not been addressed, I will pass them on to him offline and contact you for your correspondence to send you his answers. Also, if you can please stay back after the Deeparadhana ends after 7:10 to hear a few words from our directors. Also, please sit back and enjoy the discourse and revel in your reflections. I now pass the floor to our Sri Devji Singh. Devji, my humble pranams.
Varnanam arthasankhanam rasanam chandasamapi mangalanam chakartarau vande vani vinayakau bhavani shankarau vande shraddha vishwasarupinau yabhyam vinana pashyanti Siddha Swantastham Vande Vishnu Vayam Vande Vishnu Vande Bodhamayam Nityam Gurum Shankara Rupinam Yamashrito Hi Vakropi Chandra Sarvatra Vandyate Nana Purana Nigama Gama Sammatam Yada Ramayane nigaditam kachitanyatopi Swanta sukhaya tulasi raghunatha gatha Bhashani bandhamati manjula matanoti Bhashani bandhamati manjula matanoti Hari Om Samasta jana kalyane niratam karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavitvaram Harihi Om. So I welcome everyone to tonight's satsang from all over, wherever you might be. And thank you for tuning in for this wonderful topic that was suggested. I was very happy when it was decided that today we will get to reflect on lessons from Ramayana for modern life, for the modern world. So we'll first take that subject line, topic, and discuss those words. And that will, I feel, give great insight into what the Rishis reveal about the very topic itself. Life. Lessons from Ramayana for modern life, modern living, modern world. So the Rishis characterize the pursuit of life of all beings. And when they say all beings, they mean all the way from Brahmaji, so cosmic beings, down to a little ant. And even the smallest of ants, like that little red ant you now see in the summer, that fire ant. And everybody in between, including you and I. They characterize life for all these types of beings in one simple way, as a pursuit of peace, a pursuit of joy. They call in Sanskrit as sukha praptihi. And the other side of that coin is dukkha nivrittihi. Is one and the same thing, running towards joy and away from sorrow. And this is what all beings are engaged in and have been engaged in since beginning of time and will be engaged in. That little ant is always seeking to taste the sugar, and if he can have more, he'll be more happy. And you and I, anybody who came here today thought, you know what, this COVID-19, it's so joyful, I need some sorrow. I better go join that satsang, and get some sorrow and balance things out. Anybody thought like that? No. Just goes to show that behind everybody's mind, there's only one pursuit. Even I'm here speaking to you now, gesturing, preparing so many thoughts to share. All that is for what? All that is so I can communicate an idea that has inspired me on this topic. And that is for what? That is for joy. That seva gives me joy. And I know it gives joy to others because it has given me joy. But see, the pursuit there in all beings is joy. And we can't change that. So that is life. That is the life being, in simple terms, being discussed here. But now what is modern life? What does that pursuit look like in modern times? And what lessons can be drawn from the Ramayana? This topic could just as well be called clear thinking from Ramayana about modern life. Or if you want to say in Sanskrit, viveka from Ramayana on modern life. That word viveka will come up a few times in today's talk. It means the ability to discriminate between right and wrong, permanent and changing, fundamental and secondary, ephemeral, irrelevant, to distinguish the two. And that is developed by practice and satsang and imbibing the things we learn in Shastra. That is the capacity of viveka. We can maybe call it simply, loosely, clear thinking, which is even, in other words, a lesson that we have imbibed. So now, if the Rishis were to characterize modern life, so we left it, what would they say? I heard this wonderful example I would like to share with you. If the Rishis could conjure up in our minds a picture of what modern life is, they would paint a picture, which I think you might have seen before, of a cow with a stick tied to its horns and protruding in front. And hanging from that stick, which is beyond its reach, is a few juicy, fresh carrots. Swinging. As he walks, it swings. But it doesn't reach his mouth. And from behind, a stick also. That picture, in toto, is a picture of modern life, the Rishis will say. But what are they saying? Maybe they're not saying something nice about us. What is it? What they mean to say is that modernity has found a way to, well, maybe we'll take an example first. You just listen to the example. This is a commercial that's going on TV right now, or we don't watch TV so much, on the internet right now, on YouTube and all that. So there's somebody sitting on the couch and watching TV, and the ad goes, who says that you cannot do shopping and watch the television at the same time? And then the doorbell rings and somebody from one of those grocery delivery companies drops off groceries. And so it communicates very forcefully the idea that you can have even more comfort, more joy, more convenience that you're having now. You just stay there, be a plunk on your couch, and subscribe to our service. Now, this sounds like modernity or not? Yeah, we live with more comforts today than any king or wealthy person could only dream of just 50 years ago. Everyone here has access instantaneously to a satellite. You couldn't dream of that 50 years ago. So we live with all these comforts. This is modernity. And how is that related to this picture? Well, the idea is this, that in its pursuit, the system of modernity has found and designed very nice ways to keep us from getting that joy. So they keep us from getting the joy, and at the same time ensure that we maintain slaves to the system. You mean all of that is there in such an innocent commercial? If you study it a little bit more deeply, you also will, I think, appreciate that if a person were to take that ad seriously, right? And say, okay, you know what? I'm going to now live like this. I won't go shopping anymore. What happens to that person? Well, they're really fostering and engendering laziness in their personality, correct or wrong. They're sitting on the couch and watching more TV. And that is being encouraged by this app or program. Okay, so one, laziness is going up, right? Two, now see another point. If it becomes widespread that everybody is doing this, right? It is not far-fetched to expect that you will have to now pay to go grocery shopping for yourself. Means if you want the benefit of choosing your own groceries and not having the person pick out the wrong thing and all the hidden problems that come with this nice new solution, then they'll charge you for that also. Like what? Nowadays, if you want to go and pick your own fruits from the peach tree or the strawberry plant, right? You have to pay to go, isn't it? Otherwise, you go to the store and get what is given to you. This is modernity. So one, it engenders laziness. Two, it keeps you from pursuing your own joy. You're stuck into that system. And this can be analyzed many, many ways. But my main point is to just share that on deep analysis, but this is not even that deep. We're just talking in general about one commercial. One can come to the conclusion that the system, which is very good because of that consumerist, capitalist, modern system. And I think everybody will agree that modernity is characterized by consumerism, capitalism. That's why we have this Zoom call right now, afforded to us by all that capitalism. That system, in short, does not have your welfare or my welfare at heart. I think everyone can agree with that. It has its own welfare at heart. And you and I, as living beings, are working within that system, trying to eke out our own amount of joy. That's what we're all doing. So you have two forces tussling with each other. One, that, and you can't blame it on anything, just that big capitalistic system, which is seeking its own benefit and drawing out of us all of our productivity, all of our youth, all of our young years, and all that on one side. And then you have us in the system trying to draw out our own joy. And in that tussle, what happens in modernity? Well, the individual becomes stressed, exhausted, fatigued, distressed, depressed, and on and on and on. So many problems that are there. So this is one characterization of modernity, where we have developed this wonderful, convenient system that doesn't necessarily have our own welfare at heart. This discussion is necessary because someone might ask, why even have a satsang on lessons to deal with modern life? This is why. Because we have to tussle with this system and come out ahead. So what is required is a solution by which a mechanism, a technique, an idea, something by which I can engage in this system. And at the end of it, of course, I would have given to the system what they wanted, my time, my hours, my lifetime of productive years. But I got out of the system what I was seeking, which was to relieve myself of sorrow, relieve myself of the inescapability of sorrow in life. If I can achieve that, well, we call that in Hinduism as mukti, to go beyond the common and as though inescapable problem of sorrow is called mukti. Freedom. From what? From bondage. In our tradition, sorrow and the inescapable problem of sorrow is called bondage. It's a technical term, bandha. So this is why we have the topic. You know, if you put it, you might say this is very serious way to start a satsang. But it is also because the problem is quite serious. If you put it a different way, this also applies if there's any youth. I can't see everyone, but if there's any youth out there, for you, modern society is way different than it was for me just 15 years ago. And even further than that, it is tremendously different than it was for your parents and our acharyas and gurus and all of that. Modernity is changing. In which way? Well, youth will share with all those older that they are facing an unprecedented amount of information, a total unfettered barrage of situations, issues, ideas, sadness, joy, paradigms, all coming down at one, news, all coming down at one time. We just take, for example, just like 15 years ago, right? When someone like me was in high school and all of that, right? It was something special if someone had a cell phone. Meaning to say, when we were in school, we were just in school. We wanted not to be in school, and everybody's mind is branched and looking everywhere. But really, you're constricted to the classroom and what is going on there. Then if you get bullied at school and all that and you go home, that bullying stops when you enter your house because the bullies are not there. So this is what's in our mind. Of course, we're connected to the world and the internet is there and all that in our time. You compare that to modern times. In the classroom and at all times, that student is connected with the whole world. They know what is going on. They could know what is going on in Brazil, in Argentina, in Saudi Arabia, in Tamil Nadu, in Alaska. They know about all the news and the problems and situations that are going on in the whole wide world. It was 9/11 and I was in school and I did not get that news till I got home. You know, the whole story. That would not happen now. And if you're being bullied at school these days, it doesn't end when you enter your own house. You can be bullied at school. You can be bullied on the bus. You can be bullied when you enter your own house. In fact, you could be bullied at 2 a.m. also in your own bedroom because of modernity. And you compare these two situations, just this generation and the generation following, with the previous generation. I've heard so many personal accounts that life was totally different. Means the most concern that a student would have is what they're going to play and what fruits they're going to eat and pick from the tree. And the news that you get about the world or about the neighbor and all that kind of thing. If something is happening in Yemen, you don't hear about that. So now another solution or device, technique, idea, and understanding is required for the youth of today also, so that they can respond appropriately to all of the situations and information coming to them and make the most of what they have in front of them. Without that, what we find is prevalent and well known and well studied is youth are facing a tremendous amount of stress, worry, anxiety, identity crisis, etc. Now, where does Ramayana fit in all of this? Well, today, as we see Ramayana, I will be referring to our Tulsidasji's, Goswami Tulsidasji's Ramcharitamanas. When I say Ramayana, it was approximately 11,000 verses about Sri Ram. And many of you will already have been grown up with the story. You will know that the Ramayana delivers the coming of the avatar of Sri Ram. There's one main theme in Ramayana. It also discusses what is dharma, how to live up to dharma, how to respond to situations. It discusses so many other things also. So this Ramayana we can study to give us a solution towards these problems. So we've seen the Ramayana, and we've seen life, and we've seen what is modern life. Now, the last idea in the title is lessons. What kind of lessons we can take? All right. Now, actually, the truth of the matter is, in this type of situation, Ramayana is even more and more useful for society. Ramayana is part of, or serves our sadhana, means our means or spiritual practice to mukti, or getting over sorrow, or dealing with problems, however you want to put it. It helps in our sadhana, classically in several ways. We are going to see it from one way, but I just wanted to mention that Ramayana can be chanted, just chanted. And that is a device with its own nice benefit. What is that? It brings a great, first of all, retreat from all the things going on in the world. So when you come to chant, and many of you who have chanted, you will know that it brings a great amount of peace and tranquility to the mind. It organizes the mind. It gives the mind a wonderful sound track that is different than what is being blasted on the news channels. And that itself gives the mind a great amount of equipoise and composure. So one benefit of one way, simple way to use Ramayana to deal with the modern world is to chant. And so many studies are showing now, scientific studies are showing that it really does help the brain, the DNI. Second to that, Ramayana is meant to be used to sing the glories of the Lord. And what does that deliver to us? While the first one delivers purity of mind and composure, chanting, singing the glories of the Lord delivers to us devotion, the love for God. Now, I know that word God is a word many people are allergic to. And because of not leaving God aside, many people in sitcoms and TV and music all use the word universe now. The universe brought us together. The universe permits it, and that kind of thing. Simply put, Ramayana can be used to sing the glories of God, and that results in devotion. And if you speak to or study the Bhakti Shastras, they reveal some simple truth about life, that real, lasting joy really does come from service of the Lord, singing the Lord's glories, and remembering the Lord. This is where joy is to be found in this whole universe. Nowhere else, says the Bhakti Shastra. So one who just studies the glories of the Lord, chants those, sings those, revels in those, they get that benefit. Now, there's a third thing that we can do as a sadhana with Ramayana, and that is to study Ramayana. study deeply, like you would study any other scientific text. And that studying will deliver another result, a unique result to us. Many people, see, it's very interesting. The younger generation does not want to chant Ramayana and does not want to sing any glories of the Lord, unless they have been brought up in that type of household or gone to Bal Vihar or something like that. And the older generation, they love those things, but they don't want to study. They want to go deep in it. And many times we, as a community, fall prey to a general delusion that is there, that what is well known and close to home and familiar, we take for granted. And what is out there and far away and not known, we consider that to be something special. Many people have come and found in Ramayana the deepest and most profound, life-changing ideas, demonstrations, inspiration. But those many times are people who are coming from outside of the fold. Those who have Ramayana, they don't see that there's anything worth to study, or they just don't know. So today we will take some time to do this third approach, which is to study deeply Ramayana. Now such 11,000 dohas and chaupais, we won't be able to see the whole thing. We will take a few themes and go slowly and see their relevance to modern life. But one point should be explained first. How is it that studying Ramayana will deal with all those modern problems of modernity we just discussed? That should be made very clear. So just a wonderful example that might help in that regard is if you imagine, if anybody is here from southern Ontario, just imagine, otherwise in your own area you can imagine that you go to, say, Square One. You know, and at this time of year or later in the year, they will have a market, farmer's market, right? And if you go there, you will find people selling strawberries and blueberries, and some other people will be selling watermelons, and some will be selling some kind of product, and some other people will be, Bell will be there, or some telecommunications company selling, giving pamphlets for something, and a whole busy market is going on. And if you enter that, and you go to one seller, and let's say you want to buy a basket of peaches, and you're negotiating and all that kind of thing, right? You're really caught, just imagine, in that whole moment. At that moment, while you're bargaining, you really do not know what is going on down and around the bend. You know, if there's a better deal on that side, or if there's a problem about to emerge on this side, or if someone is being swindled over here, and you cannot see the big picture. We find ourselves consumed with one little going on there in the market. But imagine you could be transported to a rooftop close by, or you had a drone up high, 4K video, you know, looking down on that whole thing. And you could see in one go all of the machinations of the market. Just imagine. That person would be afforded the privilege of knowing, oh, this is really where I want to go. This is the best route. This is the best way to respond to this happening. That also could possibly happen. This is the route I should take, and so forth. That knowledge, having a bird's eye view of the whole cosmos, if you will, of the market, that affords somebody a great opportunity to make the most of being in the market. But if someone is just tossed into that kind of thing, it is very difficult to have that kind of outlook. So the benefit we get from studying Ramayana deeply is that it lifts our vision to that kind of level, thereby also lifting our status as human beings. We now can embrace and respond from a greater understanding. This is the great benefit you get. Your very existence and status is lifted by studying Ramayana. And how will that solve problems of modernity? It's very simply put that many of the problems of modernity are not necessarily even need to be solved. They become dissolved. You know, someone who is illiterate, and I know from personal experience, my grandmother was illiterate. They needed to, she could sign her name only. such people need to depend on others to read something for them, and they don't know if that person is reading it correctly. Imagine, you maybe have to get a second person to double check. So to solve that problem of literacy, they have so many small solutions that deal with the problem directly. But there's another second type of solution, which is to rise above the problem. Again, rising above idea is there, which is what, in this case, get educated to read. Then all the problems of whether this person is telling the right thing and having a second person nearby, all those problems are dissolved. So Ramayana, in a study deeply, as we will see, does this great benefit for us. Now, one of the things in modernity that we are all seeking to achieve is that elusive success. And this is one great shining point in Ramayana. Bhagavan Ram himself gives the sure secret for success in Ramayana. It is very nicely highlighted in what is called Vibhishana Gita, where down in Lanka Kand, just after Doha 79, we will sing this portion and then see that sure secret for success for modernity. So now we don't have all the instruments with us and that kind of thing. So I will just sing and you can sing along. If you have Ramayana with you, it's just after Doha 79 in Lanka Kand. Ravanurathi biratha raghubira dekhi vibhishana bhaya adhira adhika priti mana bhasandeha bamdi charana kaha sahata saneha natha naratha nahitana padatrana kehi vidhi chitapa pira balavana sunahu sakha kaha kripani dhana jehi jaya hoi so syamdana ana Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Rama. There we have Vibhishana standing beside Ram, right? And Ravana, Rathi Bhirata Raghubira. Ravana comes with his Rathi, right? And Raghubira is sitting there without any Ratha. Ratha means chariot. So you have to imagine this wonderful scene. Here comes Ravana, ho, 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 right? Decked out with a terrible looking chariot. So in today's terms, that means it's got all heat-seeking missiles and nukes and all kinds of the latest weapons and lasers. So here he comes with this kind of chariot, right? And Rama is how he's standing there, barefoot, no protection, just with his bow and arrow. This is the scene now in the war that has been going on. Now seeing this, our Vibhishana gets very disturbed. He, full of devotion, concerned for the Lord, falls at his feet, full of love, and asks, "Oh Lord, you do not have any protection on your feet or your body." And here is this big Balavira. Doesn't say his name. This great warrior has come, mighty hero, looking mighty, in other words, right? And here's Rama, bereft of all chariot and protection, standing in front of him. In other words, in our situation, it is like our enemy has showed up in front of us. And now we have to conquer that. And so out of concern, Vibhishana is asking, how will you handle this mighty warrior? Bhagavan Ram responds so nicely. He says, "My dear Vibhishana, you think that Ravana's chariot, right, is going to lead him to success. But, my dear Vibhishana, It is not that kind of chariot which wins the battle of life. There is some other kind of chariot, the chariot of Dharma. And so Bhagavan then proceeds to explain to Vibhishana there on the battlefield, what is this other type of chariot that Bhagavan Ram is riding, which, as we know from history, really did surpass and wipe out the chariot of Ravana. Now we take a moment to study this. See? The notion that Vibhishana had is something that we all have. This exact notion. What is that? You just see it in a different light, right? You just imagine this happens every September or August, September, back to school season. A child is there. Maybe they're rising from 8th grade to 9th grade, going to high school, right? Maybe they're rising from 1st to 2nd. Any situation, parents do the same thing the world over, right? Or at least here in North America. They think, the children also think, I'm going to a new class. I better get prepared and ready. Let us make a trip to Walmart or Staples or wherever, right? The dollar store. And let us buy a new pencil case and some new pencils and a brand new eraser and compass and what you call calculator, graphing calculator, backpack, shoes, haircut. Let's get a great set of new fresh clothes and all that kind of thing, right? So that when we stand outside of the bus on the first day of school, we are prepared to go to war with our enemies and gain our great sweet result of education, right? So everybody prepares themselves. Let's take a moment and let's reflect, right? What is the goal? What is success when it comes to the simple situation of education? Success will have to be, in all parents' minds at least, that I want my child to become, 1, educated, and 2, to use that education for the benefit of themselves and for the world. It's not education alone. No parent, if they give thought, I believe, will accept that education alone is enough. Because if it was enough to make a great contributing citizen to society, then all those who are the most educated should be the most like sadhus. Who are working for the benefit of society. Do we find? Exact opposite, actually. That if you look towards who is committing the greatest degree of corruption in our society, it is not poorly educated people. Sometimes it's the most educated. And all the PhDs who are sitting there, they're all not selfless, sadhu-like. Many of them are the opposite, or just not happy, if you say. You go on hearing in the news, this PhD publishes false study for that benefit, and that PhD is arguing with this one about who's right, and peace and joy doesn't reign. So just education alone is not enough. So what is the goal then of education? The goal is, success is defined as education plus benefiting society. And who is the enemy? Who is the enemy of that student? If we have any students here, they'll be able to tell you very nicely. Enemy number 1, lack of faith in myself, courage. Enemy number 2, lack of persistence, endurance, distraction, right? Then lack of integrity and good character and interest in the subject, and there are all these enemies. Then also, the system itself in many ways provides an obstacle, because how does a system produce such well-educated people who are corrupt? That means there are avenues for such education, isn't it? Within the system. So then you have to avoid all those things also. So these are the enemies: distraction, interest in the subject, discipline, courage, faith in oneself, faith in one's teacher. Now you tell me, if these are the enemies out front, what is the chariot of stationery going to do? That chariot made of stationery and pencils and brand new electronics is not going to help. So as Bhagavan Ram says, the chariot of success is something other. You put 2 students side by side who are going to university. You know the one that has the newest laptop, and the newest car and the best dorm and all that, that person very much may not succeed next to the person who has earnest desire to learn. If you want to experiment with that, you just have to watch that wonderful movie, The Three Idiots. Like this. So Bhagavan Ram gives us a wonderful lesson from Ramayana, first of all, which is that the true means to success will be riding this chariot of inner virtues. And what is external, that is temporary and secondary and not important. Like that. Such a person succeeds. And he himself demonstrates that, not only talks the talk, but he shows up to the battle with no footwear and no protection. Because of what? Well, because this situation was dealt to him because of his dharma. More reflection on this yields a great amount of certainty and confidence and know how to face the battle of life. Now, if you want to know all what is said there in the Chariot of Dharma, well, then you'll have to, if you were 6 or 7 years old, that would be great. You could join Bal Vihar because they study it in depth for a whole semester. Or you can organize a satsang or take up the study yourself. But this is the main idea there. One lesson. Now, the topic is lessons from Ramayana. So we have to see at least one more. But like I said, we're going to go slowly and study it a bit deeply. Then we come to appreciate something more, isn't it? All right. So the next point that I wanted to bring out from Ramayana, from modernity, is summarized in a wonderful word called equipoise. In Sanskrit, that word is samatvam. The word really is sama in Sanskrit. That word means equal. Another meaning is balanced. Another meaning is equipoised, sama. And the tvam there, whenever you see in Sanskrit, the tvam means nis, like you have kindness, naughtiness, etc. Right? So that nis is tvam. So samatvam is this wonderful word. Please say it. Samatvam. It's the word of the day. This word is described by Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita again and again and profusely explained to be a great means for any seeker to unite with God. Simple thing like balance and equipoise is given such a great stature in Bhagavad Gita. And if Bhagavad Gita is taken to be the script, then Ramayana can be looked at as the play, as the drama. And Bhagavan Ram, being that perfect being, demonstrating what it is to be balanced, equipoised, and thereby objective and responsive, not reactive to life's situation. Such a simple thing like balance. We'll unpack it slowly and see with the time that we have. All right. Now, where to start here? When you see Rama rolling with his friends, right? What would you see? Well, you'll see Bhagavan Ram, dark, beautiful, long arms, strong, smile, compassionate eyes, like that. So Bhagavan Ram will be there. And beside him, who will be rolling with him? Well, there'll be Guha, a tribal chief. There will be Sugriv. So you have monkey come man, Vanara. Then you have Vibhishana, a Rakshasa, right? Then you have Jambavan, a bear. You have Jatayu, he'll be there. If he could be there, he would be there. A vulture. So you just picture this, Bhagavan Ram and a bear and a vulture and a Rakshasa and a man monkey and a tribal chief. This is not a normal scene. If you find a royal person in normal worldly life, right, and you scroll through their Instagram or you see them on a red carpet, who are they hanging with? This movie star and that celebrity, isn't it? And this musician, etc. This is what you would see for them. not what you see for this other prince, Ram. So this is the first point, right? What does that demonstration show? That Bhagavan Ram is sama, or sees equality when it comes to all beings. This is very relevant and important for today. When we see, or general humankind sees another being, right? We do not necessarily see with equality. What is equality? In simple terms, it means that other person, first and foremost, is a human being. That is what is same and common among all beings. Otherwise, we look and say, oh, such and such person is a Chinese human being. Such and such person is a Colombian human being. Such and such person is an African human being. Such and such person is a Spanish, Italian human being, etc., etc. So we see first with the more superficial appellation. And when that superficial idea comes to mind, rather than the more substantial and common idea, which is a human being, what comes with it? Just a few months ago, I was hearing on the radio that what stereotypes are there of Chinese people, that Chinese people don't drive well. That stereotype is there. I'm not saying so. It was there on CBC radio. So when we think of the superficial, what comes along with it are all the other superficial stereotypes. But samatvam requires of every human being that we see first what is common, equal, same. And thereby that lifts our vision to understand each other in an equipoised and balanced way. We respond in that way. This comes all throughout Bhagavad Gita, but just to give an example from Ramayana and Bhagavan's own words, I would like to share, right? A few examples, his words and actions. Did you know that it was up into the very last moment that Ram allowed for Ravana to surrender? He had already committed so much crime and stole Sita Mata and also decimated part of Rama's army. And up until that point also, Bhagavan Ram was ready to see what he said. He still had love for Ravana, He said up until the last moment, if you surrender, I will forgive everything. You can still rule also. This is Bhagavan Ram. Jambavant asked later on, Bhagavan, but you had already given Lanka to Vibhishana. When you met him, you called him Lankesh. So if Rama really had surrendered, what would you have done? Here Rama's response. Well, I have Ayodhya now. He can take Ayodhya. So that goes to show what love was still there for Ravana. This is a very important idea. And all throughout Ramayana, you see this sweetness from Sri Ram, which is supposed to be emulated by us when we meet all beings. If a chef so happens to sit beside a burger flipper from one of the major chains, right? You would expect that their status would be the first thing that they notice between them. You know, let's imagine they're both in uniform. Chef's uniform with the top hat and the white and all that, and the burger flipper uniform. But if it is Ram, he is the chef, and he is the most exalted, right? And he comes to sit beside who? Guha comes to him, who is a chief of a tribal village. And Bhagavan Ram makes him sit beside him and asks him, how are you doing? You are very wise and you are my friend. And he means it. And throughout Ramayana, you find again and again, all those who roll with Ram, they are really his friend. It is because he sees beyond the superficial, the status and position. That is how we should be. Now, to get to that level, what is required is thinking. I'd like just to share with you, before we end here, one example I heard from my Acharya. Super example. You just imagine. We don't like so many people in the world, and we like so many people, right? We don't like the criminal element. We don't like all the drug lords and the drug pushers and those who are still engaging in slavery and all that kind of thing. We like to do away with them. We don't like the Ravanas of the world, right? But you just imagine for a moment, right, that really speaking, they were all removed. What would happen to the world? So you remove all the drug lords and all the drug pushers, and you say, nobody will do anything wrong. So all the criminal element from society is removed. Then what happens? Then what happens is you don't need any law enforcement. You don't need any army also, because nobody's going to invade anywhere else, right? You don't need all ballistic missiles. You don't need all laws. You don't need lawyers. You don't need the whole law enforcement wing or the whole protection wing of society, all the way from nuclear bombs down to locks on your doors you don't need, because nobody will come in. You don't need doors. If you keep studying like this, you don't need law. You don't need stop signs, because nobody will run any stop area. Think about it. You really actually will realize that society cannot continue. In other words, the point is, in our Hinduism, we very much accept the idea that the world has positive and negative, good and bad, one and the other. And you cannot remove one. If you were, the world would stop turning. So in our Ramayana, Bhagavan Ram, with this type of vision, has accepted the situation. If you want this world to have sadhus and positive things like Shastra and Satsang, then you must be ready to accept that the world will have all of the drug lords and everything else. It all comes as one package. There is no scenario where you can remove the electron, the negative charge, from the atom and the atom remains. It is built in and ripples throughout the whole universe. This type of sheer acceptance brings a great smile on one's face, because you don't take responsibility for the machinations of the universe, and you are available to accept and see beyond the superficial. Such a person is loved by all. I know that I certainly love to be accepted as I am, where I am. And so many people tell me the same. You also can be that kind of person, but what is required is deep thinking in a wonderful example, Adarsha of Sri Ram. And like this, all 11,000 chaupais and dohas of Ramayana can be studied and yield to us great benefits for modern life. So now, we cannot mix. I mean, there's so much more to say I wanted to say, but Bhagavan Ram in his Samatvam even said that I will give up the kingdom. O Ma, he tells, O Ma, the Lord has given me the kingdom of the forest. This was his response on being banished, as we all know. It deserves a lot of reflection, and it would yield a great upliftment to the vision of anyone who studies that. All right. I, again, am very grateful for the opportunity to think on this topic and share with everyone the great, wonderful ideas that I have heard from our tradition. I am now know that there are questions before we close. If this is my last opportunity to say so, I would like to thank all of the organizers for putting on this wonderful opportunity for everyone who's at home. It is a great, great, great thing they have done, and a hearty, hearty thank you from the bottom of my heart. So now, if there are any questions from Smita.
Devji, thank you so much. Our humble thank yous. I have a few devotees on the Facebook forum who are very happy to see Devji speaking on behalf of the temple. So they send their greetings, and they're extremely ecstatic. I do have one question. Actually, I have two questions for you, so I will relate the first one. Ravana was a great Shiva Bhakta, but he continued to be filled with greed, desire, and malice. So why didn't his bhakti not lead towards the path of righteousness and moksha in that case?
It is a very wonderful question. It seems striking to us when there is both positive and negative traits in one person. We feel like they cannot coexist. But even some understanding and reliance of the existence of the Lord can be there in one's mind, along with so many other negative qualities. So that is the example we have from Ravana. He actually had so many good qualities, not just that he understood that the Lord plays a role in delivering results in life. This was his understanding. He understood, many people don't understand that much. Therefore, he was so effective in gaining boons because he had this understanding. But his devotion to Lord Shiva was not that kind of devotion that was bereft of any desire. You know what? I love you because I love you, oh Lord. Not like that. He was seeking some result from his devotion. Really speaking, if you think about it, that boils down to some kind of transaction, you know. Oh Bhagavan, I will offer 3 agarbatti and you let me pass my exam. Like that. But I mean, of course, he's following the proper rituals and all that kind of thing. But still, in his mind, there is some result he is seeking. Because of that reason, he did not yield great results of devotion. And please understand this, that is life. That both positive and negative go together. It has been taught from the tradition that, you know, you take even Einstein. We all revere Einstein. But he was also known to have a great temper problem, an extramarital affair, and all that kind of thing. So what you find there, one great personality, and in him there's also negativity. The only being that will be free from any negativity, yet work in and amongst the world, will be the avatar. Sri Ram, Sri Krishna. This is why we look to them to study how to face life's situations, or we listen to them to see how we should think about life. So this is the answer to that question.
Thank you, Devji. The second question asked is, even though Lord Ram knew that Maricha as a golden deer is just Maya and not real, why did he run behind it to catch it for Sita?
Right. So if you think like that, well, Bhagavan is Trikaladarshi, Sarvagnya, means he sees all 3 periods of time. He knows all there is to know in particular and in toto also. So you can ask this question about anything. Why is he asking a question? Why is he begging from his mother? Why is he running away from his friends? Like that. So it's not just that he knows that this is Marich and not a deer. He knows all the karmas that have to come and everything. But the question really then gets down to why. Why is Bhagavan performing anything that he is performing? And the answer to that comes in Bhagavad Gita, the famous verse, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya. Now and then, from time to time, the Lord takes avatar to re-establish dharma, to protect good people and to remove dushkrita, weak, evil people. And in doing so, just actually before that scene, he says, now I'm going to perform Manushya Charitra. I'm going to perform a scene of how man lives. So that whole ensuing scene where Bhagavan cries for Sita, etc. Bhagavan knows what is going on, but he's demonstrating how man lives and how man ought to live upon loss, because we all face great loss in life. And soon after, when he meets Jayant, he puts all of that sadness aside in front of the sorrow of someone else. Jatayu, sorry, not Jayant, Jatayu. When he meets Jatayu, he puts all his sorrow aside. This is how man is supposed to live. We face loss, but we live for those things seem small to us compared to the smallest loss of anyone else. So like this, he's performing an example for us to follow. Man chases after this, finds sorrow, but then how is he supposed to live to find that permanent joy? So this is the example that Bhagavan Ram is playing.
There's one more question on the Zoom chat I just received now. So this is from Viju. When we pray with bhakti to Lord, we also ask to keep our loved ones safe. So is that bhakti similar to Ravana's bhakti?
Seems like a such strong, stark contrast. Yeah. So I will not say it is same because you are not Ravana. So it can't be same. But if you look carefully, right, the principle is when we ask for things from the Lord, it is a good thing because it shows that we appreciate the Lord's presence and significance in this universe. But also at the same time, whenever anybody comes to you and says, "Hi, nice to meet you," and then follows it up with, "Can I have something?" It shows that that love is mixed with some selfish interest. Already the Lord is giving everything, and He always has, and He always will. So like this, if this is kept in mind, then you don't need to ask for so much. The love becomes pure. All right. My time is up.
Thank you so much, Devji. Very much. The time is up, unfortunately. Thank you again, Devji. We're so blessed and happy for your presence. We'll now go to the temple for Deeparadhana, everyone, and please stay back for some announcements from our directors. Thank you once again, Devji.
Hari Om.
Thank you. Hari Om. Om Namo Narayanaya. We have now been running e-satsangs for 4 months now. This included our Tirumeni satsangs, our Balapidam, bhajans for kids, and our rotating speakers, which helped in community involvement and devotee involvement. And we have also introduced our Prabodhanashtakams, inviting 8 eminent speakers within these 4 months. Now, a lot of work goes behind these scenes. So we would like to give a big thanks to all the volunteers who tirelessly worked around the clock to make all of this happen. A very big thank you. We are conducting all online classes as usual, and e-Deeparadhana will happen 7 days a week at 7 p.m. every day. Now I will pass the floor on to Dr. Kuti and Sri R.K. Padiyat, who will be there to say a few words.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Smita, for conducting today's meeting. Very nice. And I want to especially thank the people who have been running this e-satsang every day without fail. There's been a lot of effort organizing it and getting all these various speakers and conducting it on time. Shaji, Vinita, Unni Kainala, and Ranjini and their children and families. And of course, Smita and Anu have been also helping them in running this show. And thank you all. And several kids participated and several other devotees participated in various activities. And particularly, I want to thank our 3 Thirumenis. Every day they have participated in conducting this, sharing their thoughts and prayers with all of us. And it has been an amazing experience. And it helped us all to live through this difficult times dealing with the corona epidemic. And may the Lord bless us all. And I would like RK, would you like to say a word? RK, our Executive Director. Are you online, RK?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Please take over.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kuti. Thank you, Smita, as well. We are concluding a major event that that has been going on for almost 4 months. Like Dr. Kuti said, we have to thank several people who tried, who spent real time, quality time to organize this event. Shaji, Smita, Unni Kainila, Vinita, Praveen Gangadharan, I can go on for a big thank you for all of you. Thirumenis were also, very, very supportive. They have come up with very innovative ideas and within such a short time to participate in this e-satsang.
Special thanks to Balu. Special thanks to Balu.
Balu as well, who has shared the platform for us. Eminent Speaker Series was very successful. I think several people have come to us and said that that has been very, very good, and a lot of new things that people have learned, and they had the time to go through it. Another big surprise was children. Children from various families, I think they have put together a very good bhajan session. And we are very pleased that the kids have come to the, come on board as well and participate.
Because of time, RK, we should mention about this Deeparadhana starting from tomorrow. It's going to be E-Deeparadhana at the same time, 7 to 7:15.
That's right. Now, we are going to conclude the e-satsang session the way it is there now, starting at 6:35. Today is the last day. Starting tomorrow, we will be showing basically the Deeparadhana. We call it as E-Deeparadhana. This will be connected through our website. There is a link on the website, so you can click on that and you will be able to see. That will start from 7 o'clock in the evening to 7:15. You will be able to see the whole Deeparadhana. Now, it is our also plan that we will, if there is any special pujas or special events happening at the temple, we will try and stream as well, in the same platform. Now, we are also very pleased to report that we will be opening the temple on Monday, starting on 6th July. Obviously, under very severe restrictions, we have to ensure that we follow all the public health guidelines. We have already, he sent an email out explaining the requirements for the visiting the temple. Particularly, I wanted to highlight a few things that we wanted to control the crowd within the temple. So you have to please register on our website the time that you would like to visit. We have restricted hours, in 2 hours on weekdays in the morning and 2 hours in the evening and 3 hours on weekends and holidays. So there is time slot available on the website. You will see it's broken down into half-an-hour intervals. You will be able to register your name and number of people that are coming with you. And as soon as the slot is filled, then obviously you will be required to select another time. The reason for that is we wanted to try and control the number of people coming at a time within the temple. And there is a registration requirement. We will take a note of all your names, contact numbers, just in case there is contact tracing requirement from the public health. We should be able to provide that information. Mask is mandatory, and you have to bring your own mask, and that will be checked at the registration counter. Now, I know it is there is also a very controlled movement allowed within the temple. So please cooperate with all the staff and volunteers. I know we are all excited to get back to the temple, but let's just take it slowly so that we don't have a problem in moving forward. As the situation changes, we will make amendments to the plan, and hopefully we will be able to get to the full operation after some time.
We appreciate your patience and cooperation. It's very, very important times.
That's
okay,
right.
There are many shortcomings, but we have to live through it. Live through it. It's our temple. We cannot break the rules. And everybody is trying to do the best we can. And I think RK and a bunch of people have already been training, and all the staff are being trained. And okay, RK, are we up? All right.
The other thing I wanted to mention is that all the pujas are now open. So if you want to book your pujas, you can still use, we recommend that you do that through the online puja booking system, through the website. And we are trying to, again, reduce the number of contacts at the counter. So please, almost all the pujas, except Annadanam and Chorun, everything else we are opening now. So you should be able to book online. Website link, you can see it on the special website that we on our temple website. You will be able to see a special link called E-Deeparadhana and also online registration. So please use those links to register and for your visit. Like we always said, please stay safe and stay healthy. And it is our goal to open the temple as quickly as we can, but we wanted to be very careful. That, we are following.
We do not know how long this will go on at the moment. So we have to be patient, and we'll take one day at a time. And thank you for your cooperation. And
thank you all.
Thank you all.
We will conclude with the Shanti mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Namo Narayanaya. Shubharatri.
Good night.